they knew how strong Youngbuck was on Renekton, and they just take it away.
Then again, Youngbuck did play Jax yesterday, I believe, or he actually has a lot of experience on Renekton, so he will be able to deal with it. Immediate Lucian pickup, definitely strong in Korea. People here seem to favor it as well. I'm agreeing with all these picks so far.
Well, we'll see what the Copenhagen Wolves going for. Second
Annie, perhaps.
pick from that one. Annie, who has been the most played support up until now throughout this tournament. She's been extremely popular.
And you see when she works extremely well with that stun. Edward coming in with that 4-man dragon stun earlier on today was just game-changing. It really was. And the Lucian, I wonder, this is something that really worked for me, or really confused me, was Coutard only played Zyra back in spring in the qualifiers for LCS. He's finally changed it up. He's shown he can play Zyra still to a top level, taking on Jesus on SK. But he also played a Kassadin to a really good extent. So he's been really changed up his champion pool. Has he worked on AD carries potentially mid lane?
I don't know, but if he knows how to beat a Riven with Kassadin, he probably knows the strengths and weaknesses of say, AD carries in mid, so I definitely think he knows exactly what he's up against and what he's doing, because, I mean, if you tie farm Kassadin in a Riven matchup, you're probably doing it right.
All good from that side of things. Gragas was picked up here for NIP, along with the Annie locked in there, and that's 3 strong picks right out of the gate here for NIP. What are the Wolves going to go for? Already got their AD carry for Forgiven, who had an amazing time of things yesterday, actually.
Shen being hovered over, Fiddlesticks locked in. I imagine that's going to be support with Lee Sin in the jungle already. Fiddlesticks support, does silence, breaks the combo from Annie, but I can only fear if it gets engaged upon. What is he exactly going to do? If, the Tibbers gets dropped in his face, followed by the damage and an Ignite burning, he can fear people. He can start bouncing some silences, but won't he be dead already then? At the same time, if he counter-initiates on Annie gets feared, Annie gets silenced, Annie gets bursted, doesn't even drop the Tibbers. It will all come down to how well Unlimited plays this Fiddlesticks. I also have to respect the Shen pick because, Annie support bursts and all-ins pretty easily, but she's relatively close, about 500 range. Most of the time when she's casting these abilities, Shen can land, follow up with a taunt mid-fear, for example, and there is possibilities, at least for both these lineups. And
there's actually a question I have for you on the Fiddlesticks, because we talked about it yesterday when we were watching some of the games. Why do more of the amateur or the these teams take Fiddlesticks over Annie? Obviously she was picked out here, but we saw a lot more teams playing this Fiddlesticks as a support.
There's preferences for every support. I would end up picking, like a long time ago, Leona into even unfavorable matchups just because I was so comfortable with the champion. Depends what you played. I can't really tell. I haven't asked all of them personally, and I'm not going to speak on their behalf.
So Fizz looking like it will be the final pick here for the Copenhagen Wolves to go up against Nuke Ducks Gragas. We also saw the Nunu being locked in here for Hercubot, something that he played in game number 1 against TCM yesterday. That whole Nunu, Caitlyn, and Annie, actually, they had in that combo that won them the game.
Yeah, I believe they did they not have a Nidalee on top of that? Giving the extra attack speed steroid to Caitlyn for sieging. I actually wonder if they're going to choose to opt in for Annie Caitlyn mid against Fizz 2v1, possibly putting Gragas in a 2v1 lane. Has decent wave clear, especially if he manages to get a blue buff from his jungle, for example. These are all viable strategies. Renekton does well in any 1v1 matchup, definitely wins early against the Shen. If Shen then ports, you can even get a bigger advantage. Does well in a 1v2, but Shen probably does better in a 2v1, and Annie generally wins like any of these 2v2 exchanges. So 2v1 mid might actually be not too bad for the blue team here.
I'm wondering what we're going to see early on, because in my mind, when you see a Nunu and you see a Caitlyn, we're expecting early turret pushes. Do you think that's what's going to come out of NIP again?
Well, look at it like, yes, if they end up being forced into 2v1 against a Shen's really good against it, they'll just group up 3v1 and push the turret down. If they're not, Nunu can still roam freely and just put down the pressure. I do feel like what you said is a good point. Nunu enhances any turret pressure there is, so why not go for the 2v1 mid, push the turret down, and then switch back and give Gragas the roam. Then he can push in mid lane and roam immediately and add extra strength to the other towers that are getting pushed. Gragas is very popular in Korea right now because of his siege potential. He creates zones. He basically throws down one barrel at the left side. People really don't want to walk into that. And then they know he has his ulti, so they have to respect the range. So all in all, Gragas is really good for sieging. Combine that with Caitlyn, with Nunu, and Annie is engaged and disengaged. So very, very well versatile comp there for NIP.
Well, here we go then. We're going to get into Game 4, the first of this best-of-3 grand final for the amateur tournament here at the Intel Extreme Masters Cologne. NIP on the blue side going up against the Copenhagen Wolves. Let's talk a little bit about level 1.
Yeah, I'm looking at this, and I'm seeing Mithy going for 4 green wards here. He's not actually going for any pinks whatsoever. And against like a Fiddlesticks, that's kind of, actually no, a Fiddlesticks, sorry, picking up the pink ward is kind of necessary if you want to go in a 2v2, so you can obviously get your engage on. But I don't know, what does this kind of show you, Crepo? Because it looks like they want to go for some sort of aggressive ward coverage.
Okay, both teams actually having the same amount of pink wards there. Annie going for 4 pinks. Miffy's going for 4, Unlimited rather is going for 4 pinks and a pink ward. Basically Fiddlesticks is sacrificing some potions, some sustain in lane for more ward coverage, counter warding. Might indicate that they actually want to go for a 2v1 rather than a 2v2, because in a straight trade potential, you lose out if you have a less number of potions, but in a 2v1 you end up not trading, you just deal damage constantly because the solo laner doesn't trade you back. I like a pink ward. I think every team in competitive should have at least 1 pink ward to use anywhere. I think 3 green wards, even if you end up lacking the wards, you can play around it. Not having a pink ward might put a bigger burden on you, but who am I to disagree with Miffy?
So, let's get into it then. We just had a bit of a mini-map bug for two of the players, it seemed like. But that seems to be all fixed. And we are back underway with this one. So, what do we see here? At the moment, Cophenagen Wolves on the bottom side of the river. A 3-man team just pushing through to get those deep wards in on the red buff side of the Cophenagen Wolves jungle.
Yeah, and NIP is not spotted. That means there's no counter invade coming out of the Cophenagen Wolves. They're a little scared, although Fiddlesticks Shen does offer a really good invade.
Yeah, and if they get that fear with the taunt, they can probably burst someone down really quickly with Fizz on top of that, not to mention Lee Sin. But they're going in for an invade on the red here. They want to contest it, and NIP have already put down 2 wards over towards the top side of the jungle for the Cophenagen Wolves. So will they go for an invade because they have that Nunu? I guess it's a very likely possibility.
Let's have a look at some of the starting items as well while we've got time, since most of them just backing off from that one. Pretty standard stuff. Crystalline Flask in the mid lane for both, and Shen Renekton starting off Doran's shield. Nunu starting off with the boots, something that you can do when you've got to consume.
And look at it, I think it's gonna go as I predicted, two people in mid. Having double support and AD carry in mid allows you to either go invade left or right or start on any buff. It gives you so much power in the central part of the map. They went in and warded, and now they're invading with Nunu, which makes it really easy. But Fiddlesticks comes in.
Yeah, it looks like that Sans will go out, and Hercubat's actually just gonna run away. He's got the consume, he's got the smite, he does take it, so he will back away with the red buff here. A lot committed just for that alone, but already Cowtard, he was heading down towards bottom for a second.
Yeah, basically Fizz is saying like, guys, I don't want to lane against this. Like, somebody swap me, and Shen's like, well, I don't want to lane against it either. Just send me against Renekton. Like, what are you gonna do? And then I guess Lucian and Fiddlesticks are pretty happy because they're laning against the Gragas. But I think NIP definitely winning hard here with the level 1 and with the strategic mind.
So Cophenagen Wolves are moving over towards that red buff to equal up the score on that front. Amazing, gonna smite that one down whilst Hercubot is doing his blue over on the other side. We'll see if he actually makes his presence felt in one of the lanes. Currently Freeze and Mithy are going to be putting that pressure onto Cowtard in this mid lane. Have already taken a few pot shots at the tower.
Yeah, doing a good job of really forcing Cowtard to miss on CS. He's only 2-7, which I guess you kind of really expect here. And I'm really curious because you mentioned a little bit earlier, having that double support with that new jungle coming around towards middle, they can go for some pushes, they could potentially go for kills here. Zoro getting taunted.
Yeah, that taunt could be dangerous. Amazing actually going to be coming around the side as well, and in the end misses the Q, and that allows Zoro to just walk off.
Great use of Slicing Dice. Exploited a gap that there were no wards, but then good reaction by NIP, sending Nunu mid. You know, Cowtard has to use his E offensively to clean, but he can't even do that. Look at how chunked he gets right there.
Wow, so much damage coming out, and they're not done just yet. As you see the rest of Cophenagen Wolves coming down from that top side, they're trying to stop this here. Will there be potentially a kill coming in? Because if you get that Fiddle Fear off, he is level 2, they could have something. But instead they just back away. And how does it work with Gragas now? Because they're giving him free time to farm.
Yeah, but they pushed him up and then they relieved the pressure in mid by rotating. This is a good call by Cophenagen Wolves, else they would have probably even lost the tower here. Now, where did they go from now if Gragas starts pushing back? This is the question. Step 1 was good, but what's step 2 going to be? Maybe Fizz on top.
Well, let's see. Fizz is headed towards that top side right now, and Cowtard is going to be going that way. So that'll leave us with the duo lanes in the middle at this point, and we can see the CS at this early stage. Gragas and Fizz just talking about him. 17-4. Gragas having lots of free time to farm up.
Yeah, and that's going to help him out quite a bit here. I'm curious to see what item path he necessarily wants to go. I've seen quite a few developing lately, like sometimes an early Lich Bane for some reason, but right now, the AD carry supports, you're saying Annie it depends on who engages on who here in the middle lane. But with the bushes being on the sides, it kind of, to me, hinders Fiddlesticks a little bit. You can't have that surprise factor.
Yeah, Fiddlestick doesn't gain too much from all of the surprise factors. Pretty much going to be poking back and forth. Caitlyn outranges Lucian slightly. Annie is a little bit far ahead because they're dictating the pace. You know, if you make the enemy chase you, you're going to lose out here and there all around the map, basically. And you can see that already. Favorable trades going on in the mid.
Yeah, and then down in the bottom, Hercubot just visiting on towards Youngbuck's lane. Forgiven in the mid lane did go very, very low as well. Can imagine that was a Piltover coming across them. And he still has that stun up, so that wasn't used in that last engagement. Unlimited needs to be a little bit careful there. He's actually got no one to help him, so can't go too far forward. Meanwhile, we do see Amazing headed down towards this bottom lane. Zoro0 though just backs off behind his creeps, knowing that Q is not going to be able to reach him either way.
Yeah, we know there's not going to be too much ganks coming up from Nunu. He's just going to amplify any lane strength one guy has. Caitlyn Siege is better. He just maybe even helps Renekton push. But we do expect ganks from Lee Sin. He needs to get a few kills off to actually make this champion work. But so far, it's not really working.
Yeah, he's already visited bottom twice here. And I remember talking with, actually both of us were talking with Deficio, and their game plan versus TCM was the first one. They gank top a lot. They gank Zoro0 a lot. And he's kind of proven here he's kind of matured overnight. He's not really overextending. He's been able to escape 2 ganks as he's going in there to do a little bit of damage and harass the Youngbucks. So right now, they're already kind of forcing Amaze down towards bottom twice, allowing their mid lane to have some free farm, allowing top lane Gragas to do pretty well here. But, Kaltard, he's catching up in CS finally.
See, bit of a difference between the AD carries as they both come back into lane with their first items being picked up. Vamp Scepter for Lucian off the start. Berserker Greaves with that Doran's Blade here for Freeze on Caitlyn.
Yeah, I mean, we have to hand it to both these teams. They're making some great plays, exposing weaknesses, but then both teams are reacting quite well as well.
All right, well, with those Berserker Greaves, it looks like Hercubot wants to make a push here Unlimited, getting very low. He's gonna lose the flash, and he's gonna get stunned over the wall, so that will be down, and that gives a little sight to Hercubot that they could go for a gank middle yet again, but Mithy, he's gonna be going for a ward here, but he gets caught.
Oh, this could be dangerous for him. Amazing going in there very, very heavily. A lot of damage here on towards Mithy. The stun comes off. Rest of the team coming around, but Freeze is there as well. Amazing, not got much left. The cleanse will get rid of fear, but the taunt comes in. Flash away. Flash back in from Youngbuck, and he picks up the first blood. And Mithy here, he's got no mana, and he's got no flash. Is he going to be able to walk away from that one? Youngbuck decides he can't catch up with him. That'll be first blood to the Wolves.
2 impressive things that fight. Yes, great engage by Amazing. He saw 2 people in front of him. Normal people back off. Now he's like, nah, I'll take this on 2v1 because I can predict what Nunu's gonna do to me. Lucian backed him up. Then Shen ulti came in. That's the second amazing part. Really well timed ulti by Youngbuck. And then Amazing didn't back off. He jumped in on like 20% HP, knowing Shen was immediately gonna taunt afterwards, and they chased the NIP lineup down. Yes, Nunu amplifies pushes, but in a straight combat early, he's just not strong enough to do them.
Yeah, and Freeze, he was forced to use both of his summoners right there, and he still went down either way, so this might give Unlimited the chance to make something else happen here if Lee Sin finally comes around. And, you pointed out that Amazing, he needs to make ganks happen because Nunu won't really provide that too much, and we finally saw it right there.
See a lot of wards in the inventory as well here over for the Copenhagen Wolves, both with Shen, Lee Sin, and Fizz.
That's a good point, Joe. Once you get ahead, you have to really capitalize on that vision control, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're not leaving into the support. Fiddlesticks currently has no items at all, which means he probably spending a lot of consumables and wards, and he's basically getting the chance to catch back up. He buys a ruby crystal, 1 pink ward, 1 green, few potions. That means thanks to his team, he can start building his side zone. If his team didn't buy those wards, he would have to buy way more wards or drop the vision control. And this is good teamwork and good coordination and communication coming out of the Wolves.
Yeah, very good job indeed. And they're definitely looking to take this one back, considering how it started with NIP going for a very aggressive push middle. They've been able to stop that as Nukeduck getting very low here. Kaltar going in with that ultimate, but Nukeduck gonna repel him away with his barrel. And that kind of shows the power of Fizz. Even though Kaltard was behind a little bit early on in CS, he's still catching up and he can still be a threat.
Yeah, not really got that much to work with in there either. That single Doran's Ring at this point of things, just bullying this Gragas down pretty low, forcing the ultimate defensively out of him as well.
Yeah, and Fizz is definitely the favorable matchup against Gragas, and that's what we saw. That's the indication that the reason why this lane swap initially came out.
Oh, one put down there on the blue buff, and Hercubot's like, well, let's pink it up. Let's get full control of this one. Can't afford to lose another buff. But that might change because the Wolves are actually coming in.
Yeah, they're coming in to look to stop this here, and that'd be huge if they can keep it away from Nukeduck. It'll give Fizz a huge advantage. It's Amazing already has that blue, and as long as Amazing keeps throwing those Qs in there, they're going to have the vision over, and Hercubot, he might be forced to take it.
And there's another Q landing into Myth. He's got his stun ready though, which I think was part of the reason why Cophenagen Wolves didn't want to follow in from that one. In the end, they do decide to back away. Meanwhile, we see young Zoro Zero, who is between the towers at this point, farming those lanes before they can even get towards that enemy turret.
Yeah, proxy farming, dirty farming, call it whatever you want. He's basically saying, yeah, I'm controlling this matchup, I'm just going to take the farm. And what this does actually, just actually pushes Shen into a turret. It allows Zoro Zero to actually rotate as well immediately outside of vision because there's no wards in that area. It's a little bit of a risky move, but it actually puts a lot of pressure on the Cophenagen Wolves teams, especially when Shen ultis. And he might need to.
And right now, Mythy's coming up towards this top side is amazing there on the side to help out as well. He doesn't have that bear stun just yet. He's only level 5 and he's still down that flash, but it's leaving Caitlyn and Lucian to go head to head in middle right now as Fiddlesticks going to be going for a couple of aggressive wards here. And still, Zoro Zero just still proxy farming right there. And I wonder, is he going to counter jungle a little bit to kind of hold Amazing back, or will he try to go for a gank here? Because if you look on the minimap, everyone's collapsing on the middle.
Yep, they are going to see Hercubot coming around the back. It's a slow one to Forgiven, but not really able to do too much after that. Just chomps down on a minion and will go back on his path. Zoro Zero still there. They had vision of Lee Sin over by the Wraithsin. No, there is nowhere near to stop that from happening. And Youngbuck himself obviously can't go 1v1 right now. He could do. They just probably wouldn't do a lot to each other.
Yeah, this is great play by Zoro Zero. Puts a lot of pressure on the map, and you don't even realize it as much if you just have a quick glance at it. But you have to realize every time that wave dies, he's disappearing. They have no idea where he is. He could appear in mid. That's preventing Fiddlesticks from going aggressive, and that's allowing Mithy on Annie rather to play even more aggressive because he probably realizes that.
And here's a question for you, Kripo, because I'm really curious about this. The fact that you have a Nunu on your team and you didn't push any turrets down early, how does that affect you when you're against a DPS tanky jungle like Amazing later on in the game?
It's gonna cost you, but still, like, Nunu still has his benefit because he synergizes so well with Caitlyn and has a disengage. Counter actually going in for a fight on top. Not much happening, but Nukeduck might get him.
No mana at this point. He's going to get flung into the wall there. Nukeduck puts down the Ignite and will force the flash out of Cowtard.
Amazing coming towards his top side. I don't think he's going to spot Nukeduck just yet as he actually stays. He wants to get some more farm here. As in the middle, we see Hercubot trying to catch Unlimited here. Ace in the hole coming out, but Unlimited going to continue to get slowed. He has that flash to get away, and he looks like he will commit to Hercubot, going to keep chasing, but no one's really behind him just yet. As Andy coming in from the backside, Mithy looking for something here as Hercubot getting feared out of the ultimate. Shen ulti comes in, Unlimited going to die to the Tivers as Forgiven now chasing down Mithy, but it's just not enough. He doesn't have the damage, and they have that attack speed slow, which is oh so crucial when you're an AD carry.
Pulled away from that one. A nice pickup. Leaves us all tied in kills. And maybe more importantly here is this mid tower. Forgiven is still there. He's got no mana. He's sat half HP. And we can see they've backed away with the presence there of Amazing, knowing that could be dangerous. The flash. Oh, the Q not quite landed in. And now Zoro Zero, Mithy going in towards Youngbuck, but the taunt will land on towards Mithy. Amazing coming around the side. He did land the Q going forward there. Got stunned up by Zoro Zero, but Mithy slowly but surely goes down. Zoro Zero popped his ultimate here, but I'm not sure that he's got the damage for a kill.
And Cowtard is still coming down from Dragon right now. Zoro Zero's going to be forced to back away, but will they go for a dive here? They have the tankiness, or maybe go for a Dragon because we still see Unlimited coming in from the jungle.
Oh, surely that taunt gonna land. No, Zoro Zero managing to get away. There's the fish going down, and this surely is a kill. Zoro Zero finished off. It's Cowtard that gets the kill.
And this is exactly what Cophenagen Wolves needed. If they didn't react, didn't catch Mithy or Zoro Zero, Gragas would have pushed down top lane, used the numbers advantage they had to transition into a safe dragon control play. Right now, Cophenagen Wolves realize that, yes, we're a man down, but so they use their ultis, they use their cooldowns. Let's punish them. Amazing tried once with Flash Q, didn't connect. Then Youngbuck came in with a taunt. Fizz roam, really well played by the Cophenagen Wolves here.
Oh, looks like they might go for a steal here. Nukeduck does have his ultimate available as well as that consume and that smite out of Hercubot, but in the meantime, I was thinking maybe they go for a push on a middle, but it seems like they're finally going to go for it now, and that turret already very low on life.
Yeah, they're pretty much checking, can we steal it? No, we can't, then we go mid. That's a good play. Always when people go for objective control in one area of the map, try and punish them in the other side of the map. Don't try to contest if you can't. Good realization here by NIP.
Push up constantly now on that mid lane. Hercubot giving that blood boil over. They've got enough men to tank up this turret. This will be the first one of the game going down. It's the middle outer turret in favor of NIP.
I wonder if we see them rotating top actually. Yes, there's a very big wave for Zoro Zero to clear, but a surprise push on top could be all they need.
Now, are they leaving Zoro Zero and Youngbuck alone because they realize, hey, well, if you're NIP, Zoro Zero, he's out farming Youngbuck. He's doing a great job. He's getting super tanky, and there's no need to go for a kill on the Shen. Just focus on their carries.
Yeah, killing Shen is pretty hard anyways. If he has his flash up still, he has his taunt to get out of the way. Why don't just let Zoro Zero use the push potential, push him up, and then let Zoro Zero roam to kill little easier targets. We saw that. Fiddlesticks melts completely if Wen's focused, even through a Shen ulti. That's probably what they want, because if they go start focusing a tanky guy that's not Shen, Shen's gonna ulti him and it's gonna be too little damage to take him down. But Fiddlesticks, the likes of Lucian as well, they can all burst him immediately.
You see that Zoro Zero and Youngbuck are going head to head in this top lane. Zoro Zero already down to half HP. And Youngbuck holding his ground there, that's for sure. And at a level behind as well.
So when this game actually starts stabilizing and we don't see that much action anymore, then that's when we start looking for power spikes in builds. First spike probably is going to be the Finnish Triforce for Lucian. Caitlyn's going probably for a BT Lost Whisper build. She's probably going to spike once she finishes Lost Whisper. It's what we call the Legolas build in Europe, because it's very poke-centric and you just shoot your ultimate and your Q to do a lot of poke. But generally in real fights, it's going to fall off later.
And you talked about NIP, they're looking for siege potential with the Caitlyn, and obviously with the Nunu and the Gragas to zone, even on top of that, the Annie, but, we didn't even mention about the engage power of Copenhagen Wolves. I guess with the ultimate coming out of Fizz, you have the Fiddlesticks who can hopefully get in a position to ulti over the wall, and of course the flash taunt out of Shen on Elise and engaging. But one thing that NIP does have is that disengage out of Nuke Duck, which can be very vital, I would assume, in these fights.
Yeah, both compositions have parts that counter each other and weaknesses that get countered by the other one. Obviously, we've seen going in for the buff steal.
Oh, gonna kick Hercubot out of the way. Zoro Zero coming around the side from that one. He will pop his ultimate, and here comes Nuke Duck. Will Shen be able to get down to this one on time? Yes! Amazing, gets over the wall, but Mithy was there. It was actually Zoro Zero that got the kill. He makes that a double, and he may make it even a triple from this one. Youngbuck also now on the killing spree, and there is that triple from Zoro Zero.
And here we see why Renekton is such a contested pick. In the early to mid game coming out, once he finishes that Sunfire Cape, so much damage coming out. Great game read by NAP. Yeah, Shen ulti comes in, fine flash over the wall. We have our members are pincering you from the side. Fiddlesticks with a good idea as well, cross-throwing over as at the same moment Lee Sin dashed out, but it just wasn't enough. NIP had vision control, they knew exactly what was going on, and they pretty much baited Copenhagen Wolves in.
And to me, this is starting to become a big problem, because if you look at gold, Zoro Zero is sitting on so much right now, and he's becoming this tanky force. This freeze actually might get caught. Kautar going for the engage here, but he's not going to go for the full fight. But if Zoro Zero gets so tanky that he can dive straight into the backline of Copenhagen Wolves, doesn't that mean that Unlimited has to use his fear to keep him off of Lucian?
Yeah, definitely the zoning potential coming out of both Gragas and Zoro Zero will be really damn big. At the same time, look at Copenhagen Wolves lineup. Not too much wave clear. If they get behind, it will be really hard for them to win the game. Yeah, if Fizz gets farmed, he can split push maybe and try and assassinate people. If Shen gets really far ahead, he can start split pushing as well. But right now, they don't have either of those and not enough wave clear. The sieging might start going on for NAP right here.
Now in the bottom lane, Hercubot just spotted Kautar, who had started the recall, but in the end he's forced to back away with the presence of Zoro Zero, who... Is he going to check that brush? He is, but it's probably going to be too late. Yep. Actually walking in there, not quite realizing who was in. Meanwhile, this mid lane now going to become the pressure point, but Freeze got plenty of wave clear in there, and he won't have any problem of keeping that tower still up. Very low it is, but it's still up nonetheless.
Yeah, and even Nuke Duck, he was potentially going to be coming down from that top side, and the ward coverage right now that NIP has, it's really impressive. It's a little bit odd because, Crep, we were talking earlier about if you want to be aggressive, if you want to push, you want to ward up the enemy jungle, but they're warding up their side. I guess they're trying to prevent Copenhagen Wolves from getting anything away from them to keep the advantage that they've been able to build up here, at least in terms of who's farmed.
As you say that, those wards are still remnants from the earlier play where NIP basically had vision control and caught out Copenhagen Wolves. They're slowly transitioning into this tower, warding up aggressively, and then rotating back into it.
Oh, Kautar, he's in a dangerous position. Plenty of mobility, of course, but he's going to back away from that one. Ward put down right on top of him, but this tower is going to be a victim to that three-man push.
But we do have Unlimited coming in from the side. They potentially could go for an engage here, but I don't know if they can kill Zoro Zero, Hercubot, and Mithy at the same time.
Yeah, but your point still stands. Aggressive warding did come in from Mithy in the enemy jungle, as you pointed out, and they spotted him. They know exactly what Copenhagen Wolves is doing, what they're trying, and they have their number.
In top lane, Nuke Duck is still putting down pressure, but NIP have set up that trap here. And they're going to go for it. It's going to be amazing that is the target, but Unlimited there is able to get off. Hercule actually just stealing away the Wolf as well. And we shouldn't ever forget that Shen's ultimate is off cooldown at this point. Can always drop in there to create that one-man advantage.
But he is getting pressured though. He's moving out of the lane. Gragas is pushing down top. Basically, Cophenagen Wolves has too little power to react to the global turret pressure that NIP is forcing upon them right now.
Yeah, and right now with Youngbuck backing away, you even see on the minimap at least Nukeduck pushing him out of the lane. He was trying to back before, but it didn't matter. This blue buff trying to get in the hands of Kautar here, but Mithy, he's on the side. He does have that flash available. He gets nothing off it. I thought he was going to get the stun and the steal, but it does go to Kautar more importantly. He does have the blue buff, and Dragon is now available.
Dragon up. Who's going to go for this one first? Cophenagen Wolves got themselves positioning, but it's all a little bit split up. Shen is in the top side of things, so he's going to come down with the use of Stand United. Ninjas in Pijamas have got pretty much their entire team there outside of Gragas, who's coming in. There's a flash over the wall from Zoro Zero. He was scared of being caught out, and Kautar now pushing him completely out of the fight. And NIP are going to come in from two sides of this one if they fight.
Oh, we do see the ultimate coming at Caitlyn right there. Amazing does block that away, and they do back off. They realize the pressure they do have with Youngbuck available with that ultimate as he split pushes. We do see the engage come out of Mithy. He gets the ultimate onto Amazing and Forgiven as they chase them down. Fizz going straight after Zoro Zero, but it doesn't matter. He's too damn tanky. Youngbuck finally coming into the party here onto Amazing. Actually, does cancel it away, and NIP coming out ahead in that trade.
Oh. Kautar actually going back in there, seeing what extra damage he could do on the exit, but the Dragon has been started off here. Not a lot of mana across the board for NIP, but that's on Freeze and on Hercule bot, and they're going to have enough there to consume and to smite off the Dragon. Nice pickup for NIP.
And this just shows you how well NIP is playing the zoning game and the vision game. They know exactly where people were. Yeah, Zoro Zero got caught, quotation mark, because all he was doing was gaining time for Gragas to push out mid, put the pressure on NIP's side. NIP knew exactly that they were pushing mid tower. They forced out, subsequently, Cophenagen was outside of the Dragon area and pincered them with Annie coming in the back. Once they realized Shen's ulti got cancelled, they went for a safe Dragon. Really well played, respecting the zone they provided, backed off once Shen ulti was going, forced Cophenagen Wolves out of the area, and only took the Drake once it was safe. Because remember, Nunu in a straight fight is not as strong as Lee Sin.
Great job by NIP right there to secure that Dragon after that fight. I mean, they handled that, just like you said, very well, able to not take too much damage. But right now, Youngbuck pushed the top tower down. He's going to spot that blue buff available, but Nukeduck, he's not going to want to let this go.
No, Youngbuck here might be in trouble as well. Going to get stunned up and knocked back by the Gragas barrel. There is the taunt coming in, but he's going to find it hard to get away. Will actually be forced to use the flash there to get out of that blue buff area. And this fight is not over. Forgiven's off to the side. The blue buff's down at half. There is the Cullen coming through the wall. Well, that blue buff, no, it was picked up, in fact. It was last hit there by Lucian. Picked up, nicely done by Forgiven.
Yeah, really well played. Should actually never happen. You should never let a Cullen take that buff. Gragas should have tried and body blocked it actually himself. Take the damage and then just take the blue buff afterwards. But we can't fault these players for small mistakes like that. I still think NIP is still in a good position, but if we look at the gold count, it's relatively even.
Yeah, and actually Cophenagen Wolves ahead in terms of the gold count right there. Well, you have to say it must be because of that turret since they are up 3-2 here. But NIP starting to barrel down middle, and Mithy, Splash not available, but with that swirling or effects around him, you know he's got that stun available. And it looks like they might potentially want to start sieging down middle here. They have some decent vision. Looks like they might put a couple more down as Zoro Zero going head-to-head against Kautar here, and he's coming out very far ahead in these trades.
Spirit Visage got that Sunfire cape in there as well. He is very tanky already at this point. Kautar just realizing it there as Zoro Zero actually coming forward. It doesn't really matter if they get the kill here or not. If Kautar backs away, this is their turret.
Yeah, definitely using the potential of good trades to transition that into tower pushes as we see. Trying to hold now by Cophenagen Wolves, but at least this NIP still controlling this. The only issue is right now, Kautar is Fizz, and Fizz scales so well with items. He doesn't need as much gold as other people to be at least equally effective in a mid to late game. The only problem is that he can't really duel Zoro Zero, but what if he finds Gragas? What if he finds Caitlyn? It'll be a whole different story.
And we're starting to see something emerge that you really pointed on earlier, is that Cophenagen Wolves doesn't have a lot of wave clear if they fall behind, and NIP having Youngbuck pushing that top lane, they're forced to pretty much come back, even though the wave clear wasn't too strong. They weren't too, I guess, sure about taking that turret down just yet.
Yeah, but Youngwa did suffer a little bit early, but he's still 3-0 in 1. And a Shen, once he hits the mid to late game, he gets a lot better at that split push, and he's just a constant menace that you have to deal with. And once you send somebody there and you're fighting at the other side of the map, he will just ult you away. And this is where Shen gets a lot stronger and stronger. Props to Youngwa for even having the really lane disadvantage early, just taking into that game.
And we have hit another item milestone in here as well. That last Whisper now added in for the Bloodthirster. The Trinity Force was already done from Lucid earlier. We saw how much damage he could do just after that was picked up. He's working up towards that Bloodthirster, which actually shouldn't be too far off.
Yeah, at the same time, Lucian, once you go for a Triforce, your next items aren't going to be as efficient. Say the most efficient build is obviously getting an Eye Edge, rather, Infinity Edge, and then just building attack speed and crit to synergize with that. Once you go Triforce, more AD isn't, or lifesteal isn't really going to help you with that, so the power spike is less big compared to Caitlyn's build. I think Caitlyn's actually going to scale better with items than Lucian is.
And not to mention, you pair in a Blood Bowl behind that too. I mean, it's going to be ridiculous the amount of attack speed and damage he's going to do. So Cophenagen Wolves going to have some sort of way to deal with the sieging power or potential that NIP has, but hasn't really used fully into effect just yet. And Hercubot, he's trying to continue counter jungling here. He's putting some wards down. He's trying to control that red buff a little bit here. But Cophenagen Wolves, with that Oracle on Unlimited, are trying to maintain control of their own jungle.
Exactly what they need to do. As long as they deny the vision control from NIP, they can scale better into the late game. Shen split, which is so annoying to deal with, especially when Baron comes around later.
Youngblood here, he's trying to bait in Nuke Jug. He's got Unlimited a little bit further off in there. We saw Forgiven was moving into him as well, but NIP, after losing those wards earlier on, they want them back as Hercubot here going to get feared. The culling coming out, Lee Sin going to dive in the middle of them as well, but Youngblood gets the taunt on some. Gragas on that top side is probably going to have to back away because they've lost the AD carry. Amazing has landed the Q. Youngblood will get in there, pops the Randuins. Hercubot not going to escape that one. Will they keep going? Nuke Duck, as we said earlier, not the tankiest man around. In the end, Mithy's presence seems to have deterred them somewhat, but Amazing and Youngblood still sniffing in there for a bit more of the action.
And this is all Unlimited. He's keeping the vision control on his side, at least under his control. Whenever NIP wants to ward, they have to face check and rush, and when they do, they cut into a fight. And if they're 4v4, and Shen's right there for a taunt and a follow-up CC and a lot of damage coming out of Cophenagen Wolves, they can't win that fight.
And you saw right there too, we saw a Silence actually hit onto Freeze, and because of that, he was forced to cleanse it, got hit with the taunt and locked down very well. But Cophenagen Wolves, in the meantime, pushing this turret down, very well done by them, winning the fight, winning a turret in their favor, take the goal lead relatively high for them, and now they're going to take away as much jungle as possible.
Yeah, look at the map as well. The minimap is all red pretty much right now. They have full control with that one. The Wolves doing so well on that front. Kautar going to be backing off here and realizes, okay, Zorazir is going to check me this time and I won't be able to escape too quickly. They've all pushed out here just in time for that dragon spawn, but Young Bucks come back. Does have Stan United now off cooldown, so he can be back in a jiffy as well. And NIP surely here with that ward control, thinking about starting off that dragon. Do they want to fight here though if it comes down to it?
They're 5v5 though, at least that's a little better than a 4v4. They actually have the risk of running into a fizz, like getting an Orca exploding in your face is pretty damn menacing, especially once you get hit the late game.
And right now we have all ultimates available for Cophenagen Wolves. As you see, the Ace in the Hole coming on Unlimited, doing some good damage here. But Young Buck, he has that ultimate available. He has that Stand United to come into the fight if he wants to. And yet, Dragon just kind of being toyed with.
Young Buck doing golems though. Why is he doing that? He's to push that lane, put pressure.
Oh, he's going back into that lane now. Finally, we see there the dragon. And Cullen comes out. Krager's barrel knocks them back. And there is the pickup. Hercubot manages that one. Kautar diving in. We are going to see Shen coming around. The ulti misses from Kautar, but they're going to keep going. Taunt's coming down. Lee Sin going to follow through. He wants Freeze. He's kicked him out of the back of the fight. Unlimited went over the wall to attack him. NIP going low and headed to the wrong side of the map, but the health bars all shrinking here. Zoro Zero goes down. Mithy not going to be able to escape, and that will be 3 kills coming out for the Cophenagen Wolves.
And this fight was pretty much a parade of missed and juke skill shots. So much stuff didn't land. Barrel didn't land. Although it was a good ID, knocked them away so he could smite. Great ID. Shen ultis, let me just quickly follow up with Fizz ulti. But if you have a Shen on you, you know Fizz is going to do that. Prediction by NIP, walk away. So good beats on both of these teams' sides. But yeah, Cophenagen Wolves with a stronger fight coming out overhead.
Yeah, they were able to escape the Fizz ultimate as well from that. And because of a Caitlyn trap that was down, Youngbuck taunted right into it. But the barrel, their big disengage was no longer there, and they just once they got on top of them, with Shen there, with Lisa in there, and obviously a Fizz, it was just too much damage to really deal with. So in the end, NIP got the Dragon, but Copenhagen Wolves come out ahead in the kills.
I just wanna admire Copenhagen Wolves at their decision making from the get-go. From level 1, we saw how they dealt with their mid lane being pushed in 2v1, and they kept that alive. That just shows how good they understand this game, how well they understand transitions, capitalizing on mistakes. Whenever they take an advantage in a fight, they push down a turret. They're not trying to push down turrets alone because they know they can't, but they're just waiting for a pick, playing the vision game, and then transitioning any potential beneficial fight into an advantage.
So mid lane, Kaltod almost toying there with Nukduk, just testing the water, see how much Nukduk wants to play almost. Will he go in there? Will he try and fight me back? Wolves here pulling out those wards, and they're just going to sit around this Baron. It's going to force NIP into a similar situation to earlier, to face checking those brushes to get the vision down.
And this is the point of the game why we see why Fizz's E is called Playful and Trickster, because it's going to be so hard to catch the little fish that's jumping around the fight. It has a Zhonya's on top of that, has a Shen taunting away from him, has a Fiddlestick Fear to help him, and even has a Shen ulti in case he does get caught.
And Youngbloods ultimate is going to be up relatively soon, about 3/4 of the way through. And you talked about this earlier, Unlimited with that Oracle, it forces NIP to face check. And when that happens, you have so many things that can hit you in your face at the same time. And I do check out Forgiven, does have that Last Whisper done, so his damage getting spiked up just a little bit more, as well as the Bloodthirster completing here. So Copenhagen Wolves, with this gold, with the kills, and everything they've been able to do here, it looks like they're finally going to go on the push.
I really like what they're doing with their builds. They're very efficient, they're playing around their builds really well, and they're using basically every gold they earn, they're using it to their advantage, and that's really well played.
Yeah, a quick Silver Sash coming out from Freeze, added into that cleanse that he already has. Obviously can pretty much bypass any attack speed there with that Blood Boil coming out from Nunu, so can prioritize more in towards those defensive stats.
At the same time, Caitlyn is the cornerstone of a siege lineup that NIP is running, and she's being forced into buying defensive items. Yeah, she can bypass the attack speed, but she could have spent that money of the quick Silver Sash on something else.
And also loses out on crit. I mean, that is a huge point. When you mix that in with her headshot, her passive, you can do so much damage to someone. So the ace in the hole come out, does some good damage to Forgiven right there, but Bloodthirster is going to be able to heal that one right back up.
So Copenhagen Wolves is basically putting so much pressure that it's affecting the enemy's item builds already, and it just shows that they're really far ahead this game so far.
Yeah, push through, there is the Gragas barrel coming out, and this turret is going down. Nothing that they can really do. The Copenhagen Wolves back away. There's only one ward anywhere near the Baron, and that's a little bit closer towards that mid lane, and we see that the Wolves are going straight in there. They're going for it.
And as you're saying before, I mean, we're at this mid to late game point where Youngbuck is just pushing this bottom lane, keeping someone there with him, and he has the ability to ultimate in. And you see that Baron dropping very fast, and no one on NIP is in position. No one has a ward over there to spot this happening, and that is a free Baron going over the Copenhagen Wolves.
Well, they know it's happening, they just know they can't react to it, and it's just Copenhagen Wolves playing the map correctly. It's not that NIP is not knowing they're gonna do Baron. I mean, if they all disappear to dark, what the hell are they doing? Either baiting or doing it, but they just can't react, and it's Copenhagen Wolves translating the advantage in a well-timed Baron.
How do we feel about the kill spread? I mean, 3-2-1 for Zoro Zero. He's got almost 11,000 gold right now. He's the only thing that can really stop that Shen push, and he's the only thing that can stop Shen actually getting into a fight. But do they want to fight 4v4 without that Renekton there who's carrying all that gold?
And see, that's always a double-edged sword when you're playing against the Shen. At the same time, yeah, it's not bad having 3 kills on Renekton early. It's just bad if it's sitting on those 3 kills forever and not really capitalizing on it. Basically, Copenhagen Wolves danced around NIP a lot earlier in the game. You saw, well, they were expecting NIP, you come in, okay, we'll move out. But right now, it's Copenhagen Wolves going in and forcing NIP out. They just waited for the late game, and they're pushing their advantage.
Yeah, and you mentioned them adapting to what's exactly happening. It's making them a really good team. They've really come far, I have to say, over this past year from, DreamHack when they won that against Dark Passage, I believe it was. And Unlimited, with this Oracle, I feel like he's had it for like the last 10 minutes straight. He's been constantly refreshing it, constantly trying to control all of these wards. And Mythy, his boots of mobility coming in, he wants to, I guess, get around quickly to stop it, but he can't face check anything alone.
Yeah, boots of mobility and Sightstone plus Oracles is pretty much a core support build because it's so valuable for the teams, and there's no other items that actually add more value than those, and that's why we saw it change in the pipe patch, because it's really, really, really effective.
Yeah, another turret here up for grabs. Copenhagen Wolves with that Baron on, got minions, and they're gonna take it down. Final inner turret of the game that was, and now NIP only got their base left. We talked a little bit about this earlier, about who's going to have the better ability when it comes to sieges. They've got good wave clear NIP there, but can they hold up against that pressure that the Wolves can put down?
Exactly. Late game, the zone from a Fizz ulti engage from Fiddlesticks is pretty big. Yeah, they can clear these waves, but the fact that Shen's split pushing makes it possible to get a few hits in every time.
And look where, Freeze currently is. He's up there to deal with it. Zorazo being dropped really low right there. The Colin coming out, getting him dropped very quickly. And with this Baron buff, with the Grog's Barrel coming out, they're trying to get this turret down. Lichbane as well on the Cowtard. And they're letting the Baron just regen it up as Youngbuck still pushing this top lane and Freeze still sitting there trying to hold it off.
That tower down to less than half HP. And Copenhagen Wolves aren't backing away from this one. They're sticking in there. Freeze has gone up to that top lane. Will be keeping them back as far as they can. But in the end, the Copenhagen Wolves just bullying their way through from this one. That is going to be an inhib going down. Unlimited actually blocking the ace in the hole there in favor of it going on towards Forgiven. And look at the damage coming back there. Quick volley of abilities coming out from Forgiven. And Nukduk loses half of his health.
And it's 5-on-4 right now, which is I guess a really key point is that Youngbuck's still pushing the top lane, but NIP don't have faith in being able to burst someone down at least through that Shen shield. Cowtard obviously has that Zonius and that Playful Trickster to stay alive long enough if he needs, and they're giving this inhibitor up completely. You can see Forgiven trying to zone them with Colin right there. And NIP, are they just trying to wait out this Baron?
Nah, this is pretty much just well played, what I call accordion push by Copenhagen Wolves. One side goes in, the other guys goes in and out, in and out, in and out, and just basically dance around your opponents. You know they're moving inside their base from one side to the other, but you have an advantage, you have Nashor, so they need a numbers advantage to take you down, and it gets even harder once Shen has his ulti, because it's such a double-edged sword. You go stop Shen, you go fight, but you'll always end up in a 5v5 on the bottom anyways, and it's basically the late game is hitting NIP in the face right here.
I'll look down some of the other items to be finished off. Spirit Visage for Shen, who adds that to his Randuin's Omen, and Sunfire Cape. Pretty much exactly the same build as what Zoro Zero has.
And he's still sitting on 2k gold.
Yeah, he's got still more to spend from that as well.
405. Who knows?
405. Solid stuff from Youngbuck. And we talked about, the whole stealing of Renekton away, but proving that Shen is certainly in his repertoire of awesome at this point.
Well, if you steal a champion away from somebody that plays it so much, at least you know how to deal with it. If you have 300 games or 400 or 500 games on a champion, you've probably lost your lane quite a few times, and you probably know what counters you.
Yeah, and the thing is, he had a very rough time in the beginning, but to be having the highest amount of gold earned total in this game is really showing how good of a player he is on his Shen. I'm sure he can do the exact same thing on Renekton, but right now, Baron buff, I believe it has worn off, and Copenhagen Wolves are kind of just seeming to bide their time until that comes back up.
Sat there getting a few more wards down on that top side of the NIP jungle, and this is surely with, counting out any mistakes, this is what I would say is very much a matter of time, unless Copenhagen Wolves mess something up here with a push.
We've seen Copenhagen Wolves play methodical the entire game. They've been respecting zones from the enemy, they've been playing vision control correct, they know how to split push. The fact that they got that inhibitor down without taking any losses indicates that they know exactly what they're dealing with.
Oh, there's a barrel, actually Unlimited being brought in there, and actually did use his flash to get away. You thought, I think, that Mithy was going to drop the stuns on him and he was going to get exploded.
Would have been a really sweet combo, actually. Could have been a turning point, actually, to break the pressure and even get vision out in deep. But good flash, and yeah, Mithy wasn't sure whether his Tibber was going to whiff due to the flash.
Oh, so low off that ace in the hole. I think it was under a 100 HP. Yeah, very calculated to survive that one. But Copenhagen Wolves still denying everything they possibly can out of the jungle of NIP, and they're being forced on just what's coming into their base from these super minions coming in. But right now, 1 minute on the Baron, Copenhagen Wolves, they have the money. Unlimited will have the ability to pretty much control all of it with wards, with that Oracle. And NIP, they can't face check this. They can't afford that.
Yeah, and Copenhagen Wolves, look, they're not even pushing right now because they only push when they have Baron, and when they're basically just containing NIP in their base, making sure they don't move out, get any vision out, then they take Baron, and then we will see the same thing repeating again. If it doesn't finish the game by that end, which I actually think it will, but if in some spring of miracle it doesn't, they'll just do it again and again and again, and they'll just slowly squeeze the life out of NIP until they get either bored or angry and try and engage something they might not win.
Talked about the efficiency of the path that Lucian took with that Trinity Force first. That an Infinity Edge is always a good thing to add in there, and well, he's pretty much getting it all at this point. Well, that's how far ahead.
If you get this far ahead, I mean, you can talk about less efficiency, but more items is still going to grant you more absolute power, anyways. It doesn't even matter at this point what he builds.
Youngbuck being chased down, and he knows that he's going to be a long walk back, but he's got a lot of health. He's got a lot of health. It's going to take him ages to take him down. He manages to taunt them up. The rest of his team are doing Baron here, and this is a 5-man push onto him. He does go down there, try to get his ulti off and get back up towards Baron and survive it, but he's bought them all the time that they needed to get it for free.
And see, I still think this is a slight mistake by Cophenagen Wolves. It might look like, Youngbuck is buying the time to get them the Baron, but I think they could have had that Baron for free anyways, and Youngbuck actually overextended a little.
Yeah, and I mean, because of that, he ends up dying, he ends up losing his ultimate. Obviously with the cooldown reduction he has, it won't matter as much, but can Cophenagen Wolves continue to push at this point without having that pressure of a split push, without that accordion you were talking about?
No, they can't. That's exactly why the play was good on NIP's end. The only play they had, because they couldn't face Take Danger, they couldn't move out of their base because Cophenagen Wolves would react. The only thing they could do was catch Shen, and that was a good realization by them to give up the Nasher and just slow down the entire game for at least a good minute and maybe force a mistake out of Cophenagen Wolves, but all in all, it was just a single Shen death.
He's first of the game, we should say, which gave that 500 gold over to Freeze, funnily enough, who added that into a BF sword he was last picking up.
Probably going IH there.
Yeah, seems that way. And RIP currently setting up a little bit of a trap, hoping that the Wolves will just walk straight in there. In the end, they think, okay, they're probably not going to do that because they're all pushing bottom. They want to get in on that inhib.
And that's a good play. I mean, you have to rely on the disrespect of your enemy, that they're basically going to move freely to an unwatered jungle and try and catch them. Now everybody shows, and now Cophenagen Wolves knows everybody's on the map. Okay, we can start moving around again. You basically count the dots. If you see any less than 5, you might want to watch out.
And I'm really curious about the Lemon Dogs, because it's a 3 out of 5-man squad here for NIP. Back in the summer split, they played like there was no tomorrow, where if they were really far behind, they would just kind of go all in at the weirdest time, but you're seeing a different kind of composure within the team where they're not ready to fight for anything just yet. Mason Hole going to come out, but Mazin's going to block and basically take nothing from it, and not to mention the regen from the Baron, going to make this push on the inhibitor very easy.
Yeah, Baron already down to half HP, and that will be finished off here shortly, using the Culling to actually throw through on that one. Actually, we did see Tibbers come down, but Mithy going to be exploded. It's Unlimited that gets that kill. Gragas Barrel comes out to try and stop, and Hercubot has his ultimate interrupted. Kautar going low. There, he will use that Zhonya's, but look at Zoro Zero. The tankiest man on the team. Doesn't matter. They managed to take him out, and they've not lost a single man. Picking up the support, and the top laner Forgiven flashing in. Very, very aggressive from him, but they wanted Freeze out of the picture to finish off this game.
And you see, basically, this is what they call like a desperation engage. It just doesn't work, but you can't fault NIP for it because it's never gonna work. You have to try at one point and pray that Cophenagen Wolves misplay this, because they had such a big advantage that in an equally played fight, they would win anyways.
Well, with that first inhibitor going down, they're looking for a second here as they take that turret down, and it is falling very quickly with that Lich Bane. Kautar just going to back away as well as the Cophenagen Wolves. And, we always say, it doesn't matter if you win in 20 minutes or 78 minutes. As long as you win, that's all that really counts.
Yeah, or even 120 minutes if you're CLG. That's what we used to do. I bet you know that. You bore your opponents to death, and then they engage really poorly, and this is what Cophenagen Wolves is doing.
Should have had then some kind of button where you had like a little buzzer to the caster so we could wake up and get ready for when CLG were going to make their comeback.
Start pushing it in, or else you get a shock because this game is too boring. But at least we can respect like the beautiful like tactical play coming out of Cophenagen Wolves. But people at home might be shouting like, why don't they just push mid and finish? Because well, they don't have to. They're taking zero risk, and it's really really like enraging to be in NIP's shoes right now, because this is a best of 3. This is going to carry on to the next game, and if you lose a really quick game, sure, you can recover. But if you slowly get squeezed to death and there's nothing you can do, then Cophenagen Wolves has the mental advantage in the next game as well.
And we know, NIP to be partially emotional when it comes to games like this, where it might affect them later on. And I guess that's really, like you're saying, a key factor coming into this second game. Hopefully they can shrug it off if they do go on to lose this one. And you think on the other side of that, if they come back and win this one, going into that next game, they got to be on an all-time high. But again, the Wolves taking everything away from the jungle as much as possible. They have a giant goal lead, over 10,000 right now, even taking Dragon for the sake of it. And with one inhibitor left and one inhibitor turret left, it looks like that's where they're going to focus. Let those waves keep pushing.
Not sure if I actually agree with taking the dragon because it just, in my opinion, wastes pushing time. And as long as you have like the minions streaming in, you need to use it. But it's a really technicality right there, and I think they're just going to all win right now.
Wow, ulti coming out there from Cowtown on towards Zoro Zero, and that minion wave is gone. But they've got kind of 10 minion waves in the form of Youngbuck, who can just stand there and tank that one up. He is so ridiculously tanky right now. He's got, what, 4,200 HP, 245 armor. Turrets don't do a thing.
Yeah, they scratch him a little bit, maybe a little tickle. I still feel he might actually go around and split push. Why not just start split pushing the Nexus towers? You could do that.
Well, they're going in here trying to get this turret down very quickly. It looks like NFP might go for a desperation engage, but they're just, I guess, trying to chip them away since they don't have that regen from the Baron. They keep it alive, but at what cost? The Supermans are pushing it on those Nexus turrets already, and Cophenagen Wolves realize this. They're just trying to keep them there, force them away from that. As you see the ace in the hole come in, but it does nothing.
Yeah, they're basically playing a waiting game. Dominus comes out. What do? We back out. Maybe use another ultimate like ace in the hole. We'll back out again. Just keep doing it over and over. Eventually you have nothing left and we'll take your tower.
Minions streaming back in there. Gragas Barrel already deployed to try and stop that one going, but we are going to see them dive in. There is the fear on towards Zoro Zero. Absolute Zero does exactly what it's not supposed to do and does no damage in there. Zoro Zero is forced to the back of this one. Hercubot having to flash. Freeze flashes. Hercubot actually getting kicked back there, and this is going to be game number one going over to the Cophenagen Wolves. Plenty of super minions in there. The culling comes out. Youngbuck actually will get the taunt. There was the fear as well onto Freeze. He actually cleansed out of that one, but it's not going to matter either way. The Cophenagen Wolves pick up game number one here over Ninjas in Pijamas.